The RMS Queen Mary. Her power and speed, her modern technology and pure elegance made her the queen of the ocean. This style and grace made her the envy of all other ship lines. Dignitaries, kings, celebrities, and the world renowned walked her decks. Only the very best champagnes and wines were served, and the entertainment kept you dancing into the night. Years of unparalleled service would finally come to an end, and the Queen Mary was retired from active service. Today, her elegance lives on. Now permanently docked at Long Beach Harbor, California, the Queen Mary now serves as a floating museum with history displays and walking tours. The Queen Mary allows guests to stay on board in a first-class stateroom and experience the Queen Mary's elegance firsthand. Relive history on the legendary ship. Welcome aboard, RMS Queen Mary. With the loss of many British ships during World War I, the Cunard Line set out to build larger, more technologically advanced ships. Ship designers took 2 years developing ideas for these new ships. They would use state-of-the-art equipment and focus on the elegance and comfort for the passengers. An army of the most experienced shipbuilders was employed, and on December 1, 1930, the first keel plate was laid on job number 534 at the John Brown shipyard in Scotland. The economy took a turn for the worst, and work was stopped in December of 1931. She was only 80% completed. After sitting for 28 months, work resumed in April of 1934. On September 26, 1934, Her Majesty Queen Mary launches job number 534 and names her Queen Mary. Thousands lined the banks of the River Clyde to witness the launching. At that time, she was the biggest, most luxurious ship ever built. Over 1,000 feet long and 81,000 tons. It took more than 2,000 tons of drag chain to slow her momentum into the river. She was moved up to a fitting out basin once she was launched, and workers continued construction. This work would continue for 2 more years as her rooms were completed and her elegant furnishings were installed. The grand staircase, the children's playroom, the first-class lounge. A dry dock was built to accommodate this massive ship, and the Queen Mary entered for her final preparations for her maiden voyage. On May 27, 1936, the Queen Mary set out on her maiden voyage. Crowds lined the docks for a send-off celebration and to catch a glimpse of the largest and most luxurious ship on the ocean. It was a spectacular event. During this inaugural Atlantic crossing, passengers were treated to the most elaborate and elegant meals served on any ship. Preparations for these meals were an elaborate event in itself. The provisions required to feed all of the passengers for an Atlantic crossing were massive: 77,000 pounds of fresh meats, 11,000 pounds of fresh fish, 50,000 pounds of potatoes, and over 30,000 pounds of fresh vegetables. Only the very best wines and champagnes were served on board the Queen Mary, and 15,000 bottles were in the cellars. In the first-class dining room, all 800 first-class passengers could be served at once in the largest room built on a ship. Her elegance and service were unmatched. Passengers received the best service available, and crew members assisted passengers whenever they were needed. The pool offered fun recreational entertainment. Passengers could relax and enjoy a drink in the first-class lounge. The entertainment was the very best on the Queen Mary, and you could dance the night away in pure, elegant surroundings. On June 1, 1936, the Queen Mary arrived in New York, her first Atlantic crossing. The people of New York flocked to see this incredible ship. She was greeted with enormous fanfare. If you were going to cross the Atlantic, you traveled on the Queen Mary. Improvements in comfort and speed were made, and she began setting records for her speed. The start of World War II changed her passenger service to troop transport. With her elegant furnishings removed and a fresh coat of grey paint, the Queen Mary entered military service. Initially, she was fitted out to carry just over 5,000 troops. Her speed and maneuverability made her the perfect troop transport ship. She was so effective that Adolf Hitler offered any U-boat captain that could sink her Germany's highest military honors and $250,000. With her incredible speed, nothing could catch her, and she became known as the Grey Ghost. Troop capacity was increased to over 8,000, and men began to occupy every room on the ship. To increase the protection of the Queen Mary, anti-aircraft cannons and machine guns were installed on her decks. The increased need for troops in Europe forced the Grey Ghost to start transporting over 16,000 men in a single 5-day Atlantic crossing. Bunks were stacked 6 high, and 3 men in rotating shifts shared the bunks. Bunks were also set up in the drained swimming pool. Besides the bunks being shared in shifts, meals were also served in rotating shifts. The largest number of personnel transported by the Queen Mary in its single Atlantic crossing, 16,683. Never before or since have so many people crossed the Atlantic on a ship. Tragedy would fall on the Queen Mary during her military service. On the night of October 2, 1942, the Queen Mary collided with her escort, the British light cruiser Curacao. The Curacao was cut in half and sank in minutes, killing 338 British sailors. Only a slight jar was felt in the Queen Mary engine rooms. Even with her bows severely damaged, she made it to the Clyde River and returned to America before she was repaired. The Queen Mary made a triumphant return to military service. After the war, she was fitted out as a hospital ship and returned American GIs back to America. Thousands of GIs returned home on the Queen Mary. Her war service was still not over. She made 7 voyages with European war brides and children, bringing them to America and Canada. The war was over for the Queen Mary. She served the Allies with honor and prestige. In 1947, the Queen Mary again takes her rightful place as the Queen of the Ocean. Millions of travelers walked her decks. Dignitaries, ambassadors, kings, movie stars, and the world renowned, all lavished in her luxuries. The Queen Mary's speed was unmatched. She held the speed record for Atlantic crossings for an impressive 14 years. She would make a total of 1,001 crossings, all in style and grace. Time would finally catch up to the Queen Mary. After many years of unparalleled service, she is retired. She is sold to the city of Long Beach, California. On December 9, 1967, the Queen Mary arrives at her home at the Long Beach harbor, still proud and elegant. Today, the Queen Mary is a floating museum, a tribute to her glory days as the Queen of the Ocean. The best way to explore the Queen Mary is to take her walking tour. Let's start our tour at the stern of the ship. The Queen Mary story allows you to follow the history of the Queen Mary. There are also artifacts used on the ship on display. A cutaway of the ship lets you look inside the Queen Mary and her many rooms. Descend into one of Queen Mary's 2 engine rooms. She used 4 steam turbines, each capable of over 40,000 horsepower. This power gave the Queen Mary her incredible speed as she crossed the Atlantic. As you walk around the engine room, it is not hard to imagine the sounds these massive turbines and machineries made during a crossing. As you make your way through the engine room, you can exit through the hull of the Queen Mary and see one of her 4 propellers. Each propeller weighed 35 tons and was 18 feet in diameter. This is the last propeller on the ship. Our next stop on our tour of the Queen Mary is the upper decks near the bridge. The bridge is the nerve center of the Queen Mary. Only the best officers and crews staff the wheelhouse. Get an up-close view of the equipment used to maneuver the enormous ship. The officers' quarters are located just behind the wheelhouse. After walking around the bridge, step out onto the docking wings. The docking wings extend out 12 feet from the side of the ship and are 90 feet above the water. The docking wings were used during the docking of the Queen Mary. The radio room is still manned by volunteer amateur radio operators who make contacts around the world. Just behind the radio room is a display of antique radios used on board the Queen Mary. Our next stop on the tour of the Queen Mary is the sun deck displays. The displays in this area are examples of how different rooms looked when the Queen Mary crossed the ocean. Rooms like the gymnasium, the first-class children's playroom, the doctor's office and operating room, religious services were held on board for many different faiths that travelled on the Queen Mary. Here is an example of a dining room setting. One of the major displays in this area of the ship refers to the Queen Mary's World War II transformation. The Queen Mary transported over 800,000 troops over 600,000 miles during her service in World War II. In a single crossing, the Queen Mary transported 16,683 troops. There are many displays honoring the men and women that served during World War II. The bow area is the next stop on our walking tour of the Queen Mary. The machinery used to dock the Queen Mary is located on the bow. These enormous anchor chains run along the decks, along with other docking equipment. The cargo hold hatches are also in this area. A 40mm anti-aircraft gun, similar to what was used during World War II on the Queen Mary, is on display. High above the deck is the crow's nest. Crew members took positions in the crow's nest to serve as lookouts, scanning far in front of the ship for danger. The stateroom exhibits are also located here at the bow. These exhibits include recreations of first, second, and third class rooms. There is also an example of a watertight door in the Queen Mary's state-of-the-art fire station. Our next stop on the tour of the Queen Mary is the promenade deck. The promenade gallery houses original Queen Mary artwork rescued from storage. These incredible art pieces are now on display for visitors to enjoy. The main hall was the original first-class shopping arcade. Today you can still buy souvenirs to remember your visit. The promenade deck displays show you life on board the Queen Mary. Take a stroll around the promenade deck and imagine the Queen Mary crossing the Atlantic. Take a closer look at the lifeboats and watch a lifeboat demonstration on the sun deck. Here on the stern, we'll find the entrance to the original isolation ward. This area was designed to care for passengers with infectious diseases. The occasional stowaway was also kept in this area. There are also displays of machinery used on the Queen Mary. Next on our tour, we're going to return to the bow of the Queen Mary. This area houses a large group of artifacts used on the Queen Mary. There are displays of room settings along with personal items that the passengers used while on the Queen Mary. There are examples of some equipment that the crew used, and the entrance to the crow's nest is located here. There are many different artifacts located in this museum on the Queen Mary. Ghosts and legends of the Queen Mary. Go deep into the darkest places on the Queen Mary, where ghosts and spirits appeared in haunted rooms. Be scared to death as you make your way around these haunted rooms. After you return from the bottom of the ship, look for passenger ghost stories. Passengers reported these haunting stories, and they are posted around the ship. A behind-the-scenes tour takes you to spots off-limits to our walking tour. The pool is the first location we'll visit. The first-class pool was the place to be for some wet entertainment. The pool is trimmed with Art Deco fixtures and was a very classy pool. The first-class smoking room is now known as the Royal Salon. It still has original artwork from the ship's heydays. It's not hard to imagine famous people meeting in the first-class smoking room for a fine cigar. The first-class main lounge is now known as the Queen Salon. This room is beautifully decorated with Art Deco fixtures, priceless original artwork, and has 3 golden onyx fireplaces. This is where the rich and famous came to dance their night away while on the Queen Mary. Once the nightclub to the rich and famous, the Veranda Grill is one of the most beautiful rooms in the ship. Hand-painted murals cover the walls. It's a festive carnival atmosphere. The Veranda Grill is filled with incredible Art Deco fixtures. The dining room is now known as the Grand Salon and boasts over 9,000 square feet of floor space and 33-foot high ceilings. This was elegant dining at its very best. This room celebrates Art Deco in style and grace. The main focus of the room is the map of the Atlantic. Here, passengers could track their progress as they crossed the Atlantic Ocean by following the glass Queen Mary as she sailed. The observation bar was the original first-class lounge. This room is filled with Art Deco fixtures. This was and still is the best place to relax and have drinks with friends. This has been an incredible journey back in time as we toured some of Queen Mary's historic rooms and locations. She truly is a floating museum for all of us to enjoy. Now docked near the bow of the Queen Mary is the Russian submarine Scorpion. Taking a tour of the Scorpion starts at the forward torpedo room. This sub was built in 1972 and was decommissioned in 1994. While at sea for up to 3 months tracking enemy forces during the Cold War, 78 crew members shared 2 showers and 3 toilets. Only officers had their own bunks. 3 sailors shared 1 bunk in rotating shifts. Room is a premium on board this sub. 3 diesel engines generated power for the electric motors that give her speed. The Russian Foxtrot class submarine Scorpion. The Queen Mary Hotel offers guests the opportunity to stay on board this historic ship in a first-class stateroom. A stay in one of these luxurious staterooms allows you to relive history. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the RMS Queen Mary is truly a floating museum. She is one of the last of her kind, a ship that has served the rich and famous and a nation at war, and always doing it with grace and style. Her legacy lives on, still providing elegant surroundings for visitors and guests. The RMS Queen Mary is still the Queen of the Ocean.